Here comes the sun. Oh, want to look at your notes at all? I didn't even be looking at mine.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Dillon.
And welcome to the show where we review books and their movie? I think I did that in the first episode.
Yeah.
And welcome to the show where we review books and their movie adaptations. We review books and their movie adaptations. One of us reads the book and then watches the movie. The other watches the movie before reading the book. And then we give you our recommendations for which order it gives you the best experience.
Today's episode deals with the play The Taming of the Shrew by William Shakespeare and the movie 10 Things I Hate About You. So this episode is 10 Things I Hate About Shrews, or 10 Things I Hate About The Taming of the Shrew. We'll see how it goes. So The Taming of the Shrew is an early comedy from William Shakespeare, believed to be written between 1592 and 1594. The play centers around a merchant man named Baptista, his two daughters, Bianca and Katharina, or Kate. Everyone loves Bianca, and there are multiple suitors trying to woo her, including a young man named Lucentio. However, there's a bigger problem than multiple people vying for Bianca's attention. Baptista will not allow Bianca to marry unless both of his daughters get married. And his other daughter, Kate, is a shrew, meaning she's just a harsh, mean person that no one can stand to be around, until a bold man named Petruchio arrives. He might be the only man Herculean enough for the task of taming the shrew. So, this play, The Taming of the Shrew, has an average Goodreads score of 3.78 out of 5 stars, or on our scale, about 7.56 out of 10.
10 Things I Hate About You. This is a movie from 1999, a movie adaptation of Taming of the Shrew, directed by Gil Younger, starring Julia Stiles, Heath Ledger, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, where it tells the tale of Cameron, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, arriving at a new high school. He becomes infatuated with Bianca, played by Larissa Oleynik, but her father won't let her date until her sister, Kat, played by Julia Stiles, notoriously the shrew, just unpleasant to be around, really sarcastic and mean, until she starts dating. So Cameron devises a plot to get the bad boy, Patrick, played by Heath Ledger, to take out Kat so that Bianca becomes available for him to date. And it currently, on Rotten Tomatoes, has a critic score of 69% and an audience score of 69%.
Oh, wow.
So
exactly the same across the board.
Matching up right there.
That doesn't happen that often, I don't think.
Yeah.
Okay, but now let's get into what really matters, which is our scores. I'm going to go first because I'm the book boy. I read the book first and then the movie. After reading The Taming of the Shrew, I gave it a 6 out of 10. And then I watched the movie and gave that a 9 out of 10.
Oh, okay. I watched the movie first, and I gave 10 Things I Hate About You a 7.5 out of 10, and then read Taming of the Shrew and gave it a 5.6 out of 10.
Okay. Interesting.
So
now we're going to move into spoiler territory. Here's your spoiler alert. If you haven't read this or watched it and you care about spoilers, skip to the end. We'll put a timestamp to when we give our final recommendations. But right now we're going to move into discussing our scores and talking about the details of both of these stories. So if you don't care about spoilers, or if you're caught up on the reading and watching, stay tuned. We're going to talk about those right now. So let's just talk about our scores first.
Yeah.
Our books were pretty similar.
Yeah, again, pretty similar. It's
what, 5.6?
5.6,
and
6.0.
6.0, yeah. So that's pretty close. The movies are different.
Yeah, you actually liked the movie a lot better.
Yeah.
I was probably pretty close to maybe making it a lot higher than it was. I don't know. It was tough for me. I think I might have maybe in the back of my head overcompensated to try to dumb it down for my nostalgia effect, because the movie was very nostalgic to me. So I was worried that like, oh, am I just gonna rate it really high because I'm just feeling nostalgia? So I tried to take that out of the equation and just go, okay, what do I think this movie is? And that's why I got 7.5. Yeah, because I had seen it when I was younger, you know,
makes sense.
Closer to when it came out.
Yeah, this episode has that added dimension of the rewatch thing, and the reread, because I reread it. That's not something we've done so far. Actually, you did with Under the Skin movie.
Yeah, but nothing had been this far removed.
Yeah.
All the Pretty Horses was a reread that I had read about 10 years ago, so that was a big difference. But that's less of a difference because that was reading it at 21 versus reading it at 31. This is watching it at 31 versus having watched it as
a kid,
a teen? I was 9 years old when this movie came out. I probably didn't watch it right then, but I remember seeing it on TV, in the subsequent years. Something I didn't mention, I don't think, was this one, a bunch of Teen Choice Awards for this movie. And
it was really big and popular then.
Yeah, so
I'm surprised that I somehow managed to never watch it until 2021.
Yeah, it honestly, I would have thought that this was something that would appeal to you. Obviously, it did.
I loved it. I don't know why I never got around to watching it. It's just, we have a slight age difference. So, by the time Mean Girls came out, I watched that and I loved it.
And I have not seen Mean Girls.
Yeah, so... Okay, so that we could talk about this more specifically, I'm going to give a summary, spoiler-filled, surface-level summary synopsis of The Taming of the Shrew by William Shakespeare. We'll use that as a jumping-off point to talk about the specific parts and the movie. So, the play has 5 acts and 2 inductions, which is like an introduction to the thing. So in the inductions, there's a guy named Christopher Sly, who passes out drunk and disorderly in a bar. A lord and a group of his servants find him and decide to play a trick on him, which is to convince him that he's a wealthy married lord who has been in a coma dream for 15 years. And his wife is a male page that they dressed up as a girl. They convince him he's his wife. And then the rest of the actual play of The Taming of the Shrew is a show put on to entertain Chris Sly as part of this prank. So, in a way, The Taming of the Shrew is a play within a play. Going into the actual play, in Act 1, Lucentio meets and falls in love with Bianca, but Bianca's dad, Baptista, says Bianca can only marry if both of his daughters marry, and, of course, Katharina's the shrew that nobody can stand. And then here's where it starts to get complicated, is that a bunch of people disguise themselves as different people in order to woo Bianca. So the main guy, Lucentio, disguises himself as a Latin tutor for Bianca. 2 other guys are interested in wooing Bianca. One is an older guy named Gremio, who disguises himself as Lucentio to woo Bianca. The other guy is Hortensio, who disguises himself as a musician. Lucentio's servant, Tranio, also pretends to be Lucentio in order to convince the dad, Baptista, to let Lucentio marry Bianca. And then in Act 2, this is where we get introduced to the Petruchio character. So there's some playful, witty back and forth between Petruchio and Kate. This is where we see if he's up to the task of taming Kate. He basically succeeds, and they are to be wed the next Sunday. Tranio, as Lucentio, wins Bianca's hand from the dad over the older guy Gremio, and they're to be wed the Sunday after that. In Act 3, Lucentio, the real Lucentio, is trying to woo Bianca still while pretending to teach her Latin. Hortensio is trying to woo Bianca, but his flute is out of tune. Literally and figuratively is the implication. Petruchio is late to the wedding with Kate, and some drama ensues from that. In Act 4, this is where, to me, I think we find out that Petruchio is the real Shrew, because he's just being horrible to Kate. And then Bianca finds out who everybody is. All the imposters kind of are revealed. And then in the final act, Act 5, Hortensio marries a widow after failing to get Bianca. All the fake Lucentios and Vicentios, his father, are revealed. The real Lucentio gets to marry Bianca. And then at the end, all the guys are bet on their wives that they'll listen to their command when they're called upon to come to the bar where they're drinking. And Bianca and the widow both ignore the commands. So only Kate, the shrew, the supposed shrew, is the one that shows up at Petruchio's request. The other two guys are mad that they lost the bet, and finally Kate gets this big speech about what it means to be a wife, basically. What it means to be in a relationship. And so Petruchio is the winner, and he bids them all good night and goes to bed with Kate. And then Hortensio claims that thou, Petruchio, hast tamed a cursed shrew. And it ends. So, yeah, that's basically what happens in the play. Anything you want to talk about from the play before we go to the movie off that?
I guess not. I don't. Yeah, I guess not necessarily in comparison. I mean, it's a lot of that Shakespeare people getting dressed up as each other kind of thing.
Yeah.
That it all seems unnecessary. You know, like the reason that Lucentio does that to begin with is because, I'm supposed to be here and entertain some people in the city as me, so he's got to switch with his Tranio, right?
Yeah.
And say, well, you pretend to be me, and I'll go tutor Bianca.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, well, what's the point? But then my thought there is, well, but then Tranio and Lucentio are both together for most of what's presented in the play. It's like, well, then isn't he supposed to be in Lucentio's place? Like, you know, why is he over here too? You know, it's like, what was the point of that?
Yeah,
you
there's
know?
a lot on there that seems like kind of needlessly confusing.
Which makes it what makes it a comedy.
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna say like it's
purpose.
kind of it's confusing on the page maybe, but like if it were performed on stage, it's just funny to see them pretending. to be
and
each
that's
other.
all I mean. I don't mean. I mean it is. It's confusing to read nowadays to an extent because it's written in old English type of.
Yeah, it was like 400 years ago.
Yeah, basically. So it's kind of hard sometimes to keep track of what's going on, but yeah, I mean it has its funny moments like that where like they say they're going to do that, and then as soon as the first person or as soon as his second servant comes, I don't remember the second. Is that Hortensio? No, it's not.
No.
Whoever Lucentio's second servant is.
It might be Grumio because there's Gremio and also Grumio.
Yeah. So he comes in, and then that's when Lucentio says, "Oh, I killed someone, so he's going to take my place because blah, he just makes that up on the spot, like I killed somebody, and I have to hide. So go along with what we're doing."
Yeah.
He doesn't explain to him what they're doing. He makes up some new thing.
Yeah, I do like some of the humor is pretty funny, like little lines. Like one of my favorite ones is just when Petruchio first shows up and he's talking to Baptista and he's like, fair sir, my sir, don't you have a daughter named Katharina, fair and virtuous? And the dad's like, I do have a daughter, sir, named Katharina.
Yeah.
Like that's a joke that still holds up. That's everything. But yeah, overall, I thought the play, I think it's pretty funny. It has some funny parts for sure. The silly situation, some of the funny dialogue back and forth, especially between Petruchio and Kate, I think is funny. But I think with a good performance of it on stage, I would probably like it more because it's comedy and, really play up the silliness would work better like that. So yeah, on the page, a lot of the comedy doesn't quite connect with me as much or falls flat. I mean, we both didn't give it a great score.
Yeah. And I actually, docked it a bit because it's, it is a product of its time, and I don't really like the message that it is at the end. It's basically like, the fact that Petruchio wins.
I know.
He wins
after he's horrible to
He
Kate.
Basically just like tortures Kat into behaving for him.
Yeah,
the
into
way
thinking
he wants.
that it's so like he says the sun is the moon and like
that guy basically gaslighting, right?
Yeah, I know, and then it's played off as the
and
good
like
thing.
not letting her sleep or eat.
Yeah.
Like just straight up,
Yeah, and it's never like he gets his comeuppance at the end.
No,
and it changes as a
he's
character.
proven
he just
right
wins.
by doing that.
Yeah, and then even Kate's speech, like that gives her a big moment as a character. But she's like, a wife should obey her husband. The end.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So that's pretty bad. That's how I would dock it too. Yeah. Another thing I thought is like, I liked the beginning and early stuff a lot more than the middle and the end because of stuff like that. And I like the introduction stuff with Chris Sly. Like,
that was funny. Yeah.
And I read something in my version of the play in the introductory part written by the authors that apparently there was an older version of the play where there's some conclusion at the ending where you get more of Chris Sly. Like, I guess he finds out that it was, it was all a prank.
Yeah.
And so he's back out on the street as a penniless beggar, and that way it's like the themes are more like reality versus illusions, which I feel like would have been better. Yeah, or it'd be cool to get that extra.
I was expecting it to go back to that, when it sets it up as a play within a play, that it would end with that too.
That could be a way for it to subvert that, so it's not just like Petruchio wins, by being horrible. Right. Because then it would be like, that's not how it really goes. Like, that was fake. That whole play was an illusion. Mm-hmm. That, I don't know, that could be a way you could twist that. But do you want to talk about the movie now on that note?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, obviously very different, when a lot of times they do, these kind of adaptations from Shakespeare in particular, it's just set in a different kind of story. So, I mean, this one's set, in a high school story.
Modern day high school.
Modern as of 1999.
Yeah.
But I thought it's like a classic 90s rom-com type of thing.
Yeah.
And it's got a good soundtrack too.
Really good soundtrack. Yeah, I love just even from the beginning it starts playing Bare Naked Ladies, I think 1 week, right? At the very beginning. There's the opening credits, but then it switches to I don't give a damn about my bad reputation, because it's Kate in the car and the popular kids in the convertible are looking at her and she's all brooding. Yeah,
well, that was an interesting thing too. Actually, I think they did refer to shortened her name as Kate in The Taming of the Shrew, Katharina as Kate, but in the movie she was Kat, which is I guess
it could have been Kate.
It seems more of a edgy version of
she's
Catherine,
the rebellious
Kat.
kid, like I'm Kat
instead of Kate.
Yeah, that's true.
That's probably the only reason there, but. But yeah, I mean, it's good. I mean, it's got the basic don't do things because just because everybody else does those things and
which is good for the high school setting.
Yeah, and you don't really know somebody just by how they act.
Don't judge a book by its cover. Kind of the reality versus illusion.
Yeah, kind of with both Kat and Patrick.
Patrick.
So that's the other good thing is they carried a lot of the names over and made them.
Yeah, I liked Patrick.
Obviously, they kept Bianca as exactly the same.
That one works.
Patrick,
what was Joseph Gordon-Levitt's name in there?
Cameron. Which that's Lucentio.
Could have been Luke, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was Luke.
Lucas.
But yeah, they do kind of the same in the same Shakespeare kind of vein. Nobody disguises as anybody else, but. First, Cameron and I don't remember his friend's name in the movie, but Cameron and his friend, they try to go directly to Patrick, but he like scares them away or whatever.
Yeah.
he's like in the wood shop. He's like in wood shop, and he has this like bore thing on a drill, and he like drills it through their books or whatever while they're talking his textbook while he's talking to him.
Through it.
Yeah. And. So then they try a different tactic by going to this other kid, Joey, who also wants to date Bianca. So that's what's kind of similar there.
It gives you the complex thing where Bianca doesn't know what's going on and Kate doesn't know what's going on, but no one has to disguise themselves.
So they go to Joey and they convince him to get Patrick to date Kat. Mm-hmm. Because he's rich, so he's gonna pay him to do it. Yeah, he's gonna pay him to do it.
That way he can get with Bianca.
Yeah, they convince him, not telling Joey that Cameron wants to date Bianca. They just say, hey, you want to date Bianca, right? Bianca won't date till Kat dates, so get Patrick to date Kat.
But secretly
Cameron is going to be Bianca's French tutor.
Yeah, so he's wooing her during the lessons.
So that's the similarity. He teaches her French instead of Latin.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things in this that kind of subvert the
ending,
the male dominant dominance in the book versus in the movie, and one of them being that Bianca learns French faster than Cameron, because at one point she asks him in French, like, when are you going to ask me out or something?
Yeah, and he's like,
what? I don't know.
What chapter
was that? Yeah.
With his textbook that still has a hole in it. Yeah.
So there's things like that in it, which are good.
Yeah.
And it's played, kind of to the point where Kat is kind of the one with the power dynamic in that relationship there too, with Patrick.
That's why I think those are all reasons why I think it was so much better. I mean, I gave it a lot higher score. The book's like, all right. The movie, I loved it. And you gave a similar, higher score. I thought the movie was hilarious. It's really silly, but it's in such a great way, especially because it's a high school setting. Yeah. So it's like fitting that like they're young and immature. Mm-hmm. So the humor is just silly. Like, I love I don't remember his name either, the Tranio character, because Cameron's new to the school, and that character gets to show him around, show all the cliques. Yeah. It's just great. High school setting. Plays up the drama there. But there's also the romance and the heart to it, where, the endings to all the romances are better than in the play.
Yeah, it's the plot with Patrick, is at first he's just doing it for the money, which is similar to the book in the sense that, like, he's like, I don't care what she's like,
it's for the challenge.
And the money, like,
and
right?
Money,
he gets money from it, in
mm-hmm.
the book, and which is the same in the movie. He's like, okay, you paid me, I'll do this, but then eventually,
he has his change of heart that he doesn't get in the book.
Yeah, and you along that way learn that he's not as bad as everybody thinks.
Because there's
really
all the rumors about him, like, oh, he was in prison.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, I was helping my grandma. She was sick, so I moved away for a while.
Right. And then, so of course you have those things. And you have the dramatic irony kind of stuff of when Kat finds out that he was paid to take her out, but we already know at that point that he's already, he doesn't care about that anymore.
Yeah. So you're like, no, he actually likes you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And I like all those scenes in the dance when they're like finding it out. And then also, kind of like you said again about Bianca, the women have more powers. Yeah. There's the scene when Joey like punches Cameron in the face, and then he's on the ground, and then Bianca comes up and punches Joey in the face. Mm-hmm. And then Cameron's like, that was awesome.
Yeah, and so there's that same thing. There's a same change with Bianca, a similar change with Bianca, where she at first likes Joey better because he's got the cool car and he's rich and stuff. But
it's like the cool popular kid.
Yeah, but eventually she falls for Cameron.
I do also like Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Cameron was really funny because he's also like not being the cool kid, being the shy kid. Mm-hmm. The scenes like when he's trying to flirt while tutoring her, and he's all like, maybe we could go out this weekend, and he does puppy dog eyes, and I don't know, he's just really funny in that character. And then him and whoever the guy that plays the Tranio character is really funny. Everyone in it's really funny, even like the minor characters, like when he's first coming to the school and the principal's writing her erotic novel on the computer or whatever. That's just funny scenes there. The English teacher. Yeah,
the English teacher is great.
Because he just says whatever and talks back to Kate when she's talking back.
Yeah, there's some great parts with him. I wish I could remember more. The only one I remember is when Kat is happier at a happy point, because she's with Patrick or whatever. Mm-hmm. And
he thinks she's being sarcastic.
He thinks she's being sarcastic because she usually is, and he assigns like the sonnet, and she raises her hand or something. He's like, okay, what is it now? And she's like, no, I think it's a great idea. Mm-hmm. Do you want an iambic pentameter? And he's just like, get out. Yeah. Get out of here.
Go to the principal's office. She's like, no, I really liked it. Yeah. Just go. Yeah. Yeah, that one's really funny. But another thing I found out about the English teacher guy, because I really liked him, and he gets to read some Shakespeare, which is a part that gives it the play within a play meta thing, is how they talk about Shakespeare in it.
Yeah, there's a lot of, the fact that they emphasize the English class, and there's a lot of Shakespeare.
When Tranio dresses up as Shakespeare for the one girl that's in love with Shakespeare.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the English teacher who raps us on it too. In looking up the cast,
that's right.
I found out that guy was actually a rapper. Like he was in a group called Groove Be Chill in like the 80s, 90s hip hop time. So they cast him in that role, which is cool. And if I can figure out how to do it in the video, I'll put up a little clip of him rapping.
Yeah.
And then we'll be like, wow, that was a cool clip.
You just wasn't told. It ain't nothing like hip-hop music. It ain't nothing like.
Wow, that was a cool clip. Yeah, but I mean, that goes back to like the soundtrack being good. I like how they include the band Letters to Cleo also. That band that performs when Patrick's trying to flirt with Kat.
Yeah.
And then also the end scene, which is very like 90s movie when the band's playing on the roof of the school during the credits and the camera's going around it.
Well, yeah, and they get them to play at the prom too. Patrick pays them to play at the prom, right?
Yeah, they show up and she's like, "How'd you do that?"
Yeah, and then there's a lot of good nods, to the play, right? We talked about all the Shakespeare that's in there. The fact that, I think we mentioned that Cameron teaches Bianca French instead of what looks like Latin. I mean, I don't think they ever say Latin, right? But it reads like Latin.
Yeah, I think it was Latin.
Okay.
I don't know if they say it, but yeah, the Latin parts.
And then, all their names. And then Patrick's last name is Verona, which is where Petruccio's from, right?
In Italy, yeah, because it takes place in Italy. Yeah.
And then I'm sure there's more like direct quotes, but the one I caught was at the beginning. Cameron, when he first sees Bianca, he's like, "I burn, I pine, I perish."
Oh yeah, they throw in some of that language every once in a while, which is funny because
that was a good one to throw in there because it makes him seem just really dramatic about it for no.
Yeah, like
makes it funny.
In one way, it seems out of place, which is why it's funny, but it's also like, I don't know. Think back to being in high school when everything's really dramatic and the clicks. It's like it just seems like it. Taking that up a notch for the funny aspect. Going off, I forgot the Letters to Cleo plays I Want You to Want Me by Cheap Trick on the roof for the credits. And then there's the bloopers in the credits. I don't know if you saw that part too.
No, I don't know that mine had it because I watched it streaming.
Oh. On the DVD I watched, there's bloopers in the credits, and I didn't want to point out anything specific from that. I just I missed that. I like when they used to put bloopers in the credits a lot. So
yeah, I'll have to watch that on the DVD version.
Yeah, I should watch that. It's pretty funny. Oh, I did write down the guy's name. The Tranio character, his name was Michael, and it's played by David Krumholtz.
That's
so. Shout out David Krumholtz. He's funny in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all really good. I mean, Heath Ledger is the bad boy, who's actually like a good boy.
I think this was breakout performances for all three of those people. I think
Julia Stiles,
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt looks really young in it. I don't know how old he is. And yeah, Julia Stiles is really good. I mean, I like her as the Shrew character. Like the first time she raises her hand in class and is sarcastic about like, I forget what it was in the lesson, but she's like talking about it, and then you get the teacher being like, "Oh yeah, I know."
Yeah.
Yeah, because he can also be like, "Oh yeah, I know. I wish there were like books by black people too. We got to read."
Yeah.
And he gets to be like, "Oh, I know Shakespeare's an old dead white guy, but he knows his stuff," and all that type of stuff. But yeah, also when Julia Stiles reads her poem,
which is the namesake of the movie, but even though they don't mention the title of it in the movie, which I like that. I like that really a lot. Cool. Yeah. But it's clear that that's what it is.
Yeah, because she's like, I hate this, and then I hate the way that I don't hate you, and all that. And she's like crying in front of the class. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
That's where it becomes like, it's not just a throwaway, silly high school comedy movie, you know?
Yeah, it comes together, and it comes together well with, Patrick making up at the end, and he buys her a guitar, right?
Yeah, the one that he saw her playing in the store. Oh, Julia Stiles, they do a lot of these ones, like you said, where they adapt Shakespeare, but modern time, hip young people type of thing. Julia Stiles is also in an adaptation of Othello.
Oh.
You haven't seen that one?
No.
It's a movie called O. it's like high school kids and a basketball team.
Oh.
But Julia Stiles plays the girl. It must have been after this, I think.
I imagine probably it was, yeah.
I mean, that's one we could potentially do if you haven't.
I haven't read or seen either of those yet. So.
All right, conclusions and final recommendations. Welcome back. If you skipped the spoiler-filled discussion, if not, thanks for sticking around. We're gonna give our final recommendations and average scores here. So my final recommendation is, if you've never read a Shakespeare play before, I would not recommend starting with The Taming of the Shrew. I don't think that should be the first Shakespeare play you check out. There's a lot of them, and I think there are ones that are better. I do recommend 10 Things I Hate About You. If you haven't watched 10 Things I Hate About You, and you're looking for a fun, silly teen comedy with some, romance and heart to it, check out 10 Things I Hate About You. You don't need to read Shakespeare to watch that movie and enjoy it. It's a great movie.
Yeah, I have a similar recommendation, having watched the movie first, is all those things, 10 Things I Hate About You. You should watch that if you like all those things, comedy, teen rom-com, especially if you're of our age. I think it hits our age group pretty well.
I got some nostalgia from it, even though I never watched it back when it was
just the
new.
era that it is in, the style of it. And same kind of thing. Unless you like Shakespeare, I don't think you need to even read this one. So this might be our first one where we say totally skip the play, unless you're a scholar, Shakespeare fan, something like that. Yeah. And if you're doing that, then really it doesn't necessarily matter whether you read this before or after. Right?
Order I don't think would be important. They're different enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and really the premise is what's the same.
Yeah.
And so that you get at the beginning of either of them. So you're not being spoiled of either one by, watching or reading one
if you
first.
listen to the synopsis I gave at the beginning of this video, that's going to be the same for both. And that's no spoilers there. It's just what it's about. So that's our final recommendations. Right. But now it's time to average out our scores. Let's see. I gave the book a 6. You gave it a 5.6. Another really close score here. That's 11.6. Divided by 2, we give it a 5.8.
Yeah, so pretty middling, which means what was the Goodreads score on that?
Oh, yes. Goodreads gave it, out of 10, a 7.56
So we think it's quite a bit overrated.
Overrated, yeah. The Taming of the Shrew is overrated.
I think this is some Shakespeare drama fans pulling this score up a bit. They're just rate anything Shakespeare really high because it's Shakespeare.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's just over time, it seems to be like, it must be a classic. I should like it. Or people who are fans of Shakespeare are going to be the ones who are more likely to read it and rate it at all.
Right, exactly,
days.
yeah.
So, we think it's just in the middle of being all right, whereas Goodreads readers think it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So The Taming of the Shrew is overrated. The movie, 10 Things I Hate About You, I gave it a 9. You gave it a
7.5.
7.5. That's a 16.5 divided by 2. That gives it an 8.25. That's a pretty strong score.
That's a very good score.
And it was 69, right?
69. So we think it's a little bit underrated.
Definitely underrated,
if you directly correlate the scores like we talked about before with Rotten Tomatoes. But even so, those scores on Rotten Tomatoes are good scores.
Yeah, that's not bad.
And so...
I'm surprised that the audience score isn't higher on it, though.
I was kind of too, and I wonder how much of that is rating it after the fact of it,
because Rotten Tomatoes wasn't around at the time. Yeah, so it's not old enough to have the classic appeal that would boost a Goodreads rating of Shakespeare, Yeah. But just old enough that people would be like, it was just a '90s movie. It's all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we give the book as an all right. The movie 8.25 is pretty good. I would say that's.
Yeah, I would say that's very good. That's over 4 stars.
Yeah.
That's your highest rated anything.
It is. Yeah. I'm glad that you also liked the movie more than the book because I was afraid it was gonna be controversial. Then I'm like, this teen rom-com is so much better than Shakespeare.
I was afraid that me rating it 7.5 would be higher than
Yeah.
what you would rate it.
No, I loved it.
Okay.
All right, welcome to the bonus round. We're looking at our updated running list of our rankings for our averaged out scores on all the books and movies we've looked at so far. We have 4 of them
Yeah,
now,
so
4 episodes.
right here, I think we put this on the screen.
Yeah.
Right? After adding 10 Things I Hate About You and the Taming of the Shrew, that puts 10 Things I Hate About You as number 3 on our
pretty good.
list.
3 out of
behind
8.
All the Pretty Horses, the book, and Under the Skin, the book. So this is
It's a high rating for a movie.
Yeah, our highest movie.
Yeah.
Rating on here. And Taming of the Shrew gets last place.
All the way down at the bottom.
Last place.
Take that, Shakespeare.
Underneath the last duel by just a little bit. It's a little bit worse than what our movie score was.
It's not horrible, but that makes me feel better about, I don't know, the last duel not being at the bottom, because last time...
It doesn't really deserve to be at the bottom, but we don't have much on there right now.
It's just such a short list that like even one that we thought was all right to pretty good is going to be on the bottom.
Yeah.
So yeah, our list is looking more nuanced these days, and it's just going to get even more so. But yeah, that's also cool to see. We got 3 movies above 2 books there. So, you know, it's not just like the books are always better than the movies.
No. So this is the... Is this the first time that...
We both thought the movie was better than the book.
movie was better?
I think it is. Because
last time was the first time we both thought the book was better.
We both thought...
With All the Pretty Horses. We both rated the book higher.
And the last duel, you liked the book better than the movie.
Previously, we had always rated the one we experienced first higher than the other
Until
one.
these last 2.
Until these last 2. And these last 2, we both liked All the Pretty Horses, the book. Yeah. And now we both liked the movie.
Yeah, on these last 2, I liked the second one I experienced more. Because I thought maybe
I
would
like the first one both times.
Yeah, that's true. But for me, going into this, I thought I would probably usually like the one I experienced first.
Yeah.
But these last 2 have proved that wrong, because I liked, the book, All the Pretty Horses, better than the movie. This time I liked the movie better than the book for this one. So.
Yeah, and I think we just blew out all our thoughts about any kind of trends. It just doesn't matter. Nothing means anything. Some things are good and some things are not.
Well, you can tell we're being honest in our reviews with this, I would say. We're not like biased towards books, or we're not biased towards movies.
Those are all pretty close scores too. All those 2 top books and then 10 Things I Hate About You. They're all,
Yeah, true.
Within half a point of each other. You know, from 8.25 to 8.75 would be half a point, and we got 8.7 up there.
Yeah, we'll see if any movies ever come around that go above All the Pretty Horses. You know, if we
Yeah.
both give something a 9.
That's tough. I mean, that's a high. 8.7 is a high score
That's
for
really high.
our average
For
score.
2 averages.
For an average score.
Yeah,
like,
because you gave Under the Skin movie a 10, and that went down to a 7.5.
Because you gave it a 5.
Yeah. So
that's
that
the
could
disparity
that
can pull something down. So I don't know. It's going to be a while since
until
we
beats that.
unseat All the Pretty Horses with anything,
I
a book
agree,
or a movie.
It's a great book. Yeah.
So I think, that concludes.
That's our list. Thank you for watching this episode. Stick around for next month's episode when we read and watch The Green Mile. I am going to watch the Green Mile movie starring Tom Hanks and then read Stephen King's The Green Mile. Oh yeah, here they are.
Here they are. $5.
$5.
$2.50 for this one.
Yep. For those of you purchasing directly from us at home. So if you want to watch this or read it before next month's episode, we're checking out The Green Mile. That should be a fun one. And in terms of this episode, 10 Things I Hate About Shrews, thank you for watching. Thanks for sticking around to the end. If you're still here, don't forget to like this video. Comment below. What do you think of Shakespeare? What do you think about 10 Things I Hate About You? What do you want us to review next or later at some point?
Yeah, give us other Julia Stiles movies to review.
Yeah, I'm becoming a fan of Julia Stiles, but I can only name this one. And
I think she's in the Jason Bourne movies, which I think are based on books.
Those are books. Okay, so maybe Jason Bourne will be on our long list of ones to do eventually. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. Hit the bell notification thing so you get a notification thing
Yeah.
next month when we put out videos
Yeah.
and whenever we do. And maybe on the screen now there's even some videos that we have. Click on one of those if you want to watch more. And thank you so much again for watching to the end. We'll see you next time. Bye.